my building and the rest of the block. The rest of the block being in far worse condition. There's a roof in one of the third building in that I think if we had real heavy snowfall, we would have that roof in probably this year. It's every time I go in there, it's lower. And being lower, all the water is directed to that low spot. And of course, it's accelerating that process there. Because of the lack of funding, that would be the only place that you could logically, if you needed to stop. But obviously, it'd be better just to roll right through and get the whole thing done and just get it over with, you know. So.
And keep in mind, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying, I think Leo stepped forward, you know, knowing that we're in a bind on you know, financing. And the downside would be, well, the cost savings are in placing a lot of the masonry back into the basement, which kind of makes the site a little tough to build on down the road. It's not the best fill, you know, for, say, new construction or new buildings, but it's probably closer to being in the realm of the money that's available to do the project. You know. I think ideally, you know, we'd scoop it all out, dispose of all that, and put in engineered fill and so forth. But do we want to wait another couple of years to do that, or you know?
No, I would have no problem using the masonry.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be developed, an underground garage bar would be way.
I'm sure it is, but you know, you can dream.
But no, the eyesore, if it could disappear, I would have no problem with the masonry stuff. But now here again, that's part of Kurt's.
Mm-hmm. You know, Kurt's fine with that, and we also did a walkthrough with the individual that was doing the citywide demolition. And he looked at it as along the same lines, and even talking with him, that part had cut our original estimated cost in half. And I haven't heard what Leo's final proposal is here. I don't know if anybody has, but you know, we were looking at $300,000 to begin with, and that individual, and I'm sorry, I don't recall his name at the moment. From Warren, but he
White.
Yeah, he and his son took a look and studied it for the afternoon. Went to the engineer's office, and they came back around 150. You know, gets us a lot closer to what, you know, the ultimate goal really is, or the problem is the building, getting the building down. You know, it's going to take more money in the long run to do something nice with that site. But to me, the issue is the building.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's a mold infested. I mean, it's a health hazard at this point. You know.
Now you're going to take all the stuff to a certified fill.
Absolutely, everything will be taken to a certified fill. It'll be hauled by a trucking company.
Because as part of his criteria, you've got to have the slips for that. And
no problem.
Loads.
Mr. Clark, for the minutes, excuse me, is your proposal for 3/4 of the entire block?
Actually, I have two proposals.
Oh.
It depends on how Ron wanted to do it. We talked originally because of funding, we may not have enough.
We're taking the whole thing down. It's got to go.
Take the whole thing down. Okay, we have two
One thing I want
proposals.
to be clear, it's their building.
Yeah, I'm. You and boss.
You're a consultant over there.
And Gar, it's kind of like the fountain of it. My granddaughter says, "Papa, tear it down." So we're not looking to compete with anybody tearing it down. We're going to go in there with what money is available. And actually, my proposal for the complete removal is about $150,000. Or yeah, you're not interested in that one. So for $150,000, we would go in there, demolish it, fill it all in, and take all the scrap. And keep in mind, we're not scrappers. We're not doing this to get the scrap. We don't like doing scrap, but it's a way of generating some money. And at the end, if there's not $150,000 to pass, Gar Excavating will suck up the loss. We understand we're working on very small funds. But we think
As
we
I
can do it.
said, we only have this much money.
We understood that the other day, you told us that,
Could you make it work?
but we had to give some numbers for you to work with.
Would you make up the difference if they only had so much money?
Yes.
One thing I would like to point out, I think, something that we brought up and we talked about some on Friday was that there is a start to some fundraising, and we all know Bars Insurance stepped up and made a nice contribution, and a few others have too. And that if there was some activity and work was actually beginning over there, that may help others step up and help, you know, that we have to let everybody know, we would still have a funding shortfall, but I think that maybe some people that would make a nice contribution would be worried that they're making this contribution and it's just gonna sit in a kitty for 2 or 3 more years while we while away and hope for, all the money to come in at once. It's my goal to help in any way I can to get rid of this thing this year, this building. This building is killing our downtown.
You guys have any questions?
Well, you only have about 40% of the 150,000 right now, right?
I'd say you're about 50%.
50%. Mr. Garza, Phil, would you pulverize the bricks like they did at the hospital and use the bricks for fill? Or just bring in clean fill?
No, we would like to use, like the Brody block is all concrete and even the floors are concrete now. We'd like to crush that up. Of course, it has steel in it, the cross members and reinforcing bar, that's all it is. We'll have to remove that. That is our plan, yes, to use as much as we can of the fill.
What would be the maximum size you're gonna bury, because that's gonna be a key thing in settlement.
We've got a pretty good crusher, so I'm thinking 10, 12 inches at the most.
Would the work be done during daytime or evenings if you did that, sir?
Now that depends. We talked about doing it in the evenings, but as a safety factor, that may not be a very good idea. It's hard to say, and
Besides, we can see better in the daytime.
yeah, that's what I meant.
All the
Working at
people
night.
that want to sit out and watch it have to.
Yeah, we don't want to do it
Well,
at
I'll be
night.
there.
But if we had to, we would.
Practicing my little jig.
And I've talked
We
to Chief.
will charge for sidewalk supervisor.
Maybe we should. You don't know how much you might be able to raise at $10 a head.
Set up some bleachers and
That's right.
You just close off the streets.
Actually, I talked to Chief Warner yesterday extensively about it. And he said he's willing to work with us any way we have, any way we need to. And most of the time, we will not have to be closing off all the streets. We'll start on Elm Street, work our way in, and Center Street, he wants to leave open as much as possible. But we believe we'll have to shut Sycamore down from time to time.
I would say that, Garth is a reputable company, and I think this is a wonderful offer. But I do think that maybe, Ted, we would still need some sort of contract to make sure that the performance was what we would expect if you weren't donating.
Sure, I have a contract written for you that explains what we will do. And as Mike requested, a performance bond. No problem.
Do you have a timetable of how long it would take you to bring the structure down?
Well, understand we are estimating, we're figuring a month. We really expect less, but you know how that goes.
I did talk, with Leo and both Ryan afterwards, and explained to him that the worst thing that could happen would be to get partway through that and go off onto something else or whatever, and leave a gaping open building with exposed old furniture and so forth. It'd be very embarrassing for everybody.
Well, I don't think you've ever seen Gar excavating and leave it go.
No, it just,
Uh,
but that would be the only thing.
Oh, that's a major concern.
Just do it in
I
peace.
understand that.
Then go away and leave it sit for a while. And
Oh,
it's
no.
going to be kind of a hazardous situation as long as
Absolutely.
it's in process. So the best thing would be to continue.
Once it starts, we won't leave till it's done.
Do you have that proposal for us to review?
Yes, I do.
Ted, review it.
Would you like to make copies of the board first? Or?
I'll give you both of them. The one is like, we talked about the parcel building.
Okay.
And, when I get handwritten, I have another one in case there's something we forgot about or something we need to change.
Okay.
It's also one of those projects we can talk about it all week. And once we start, things change immediately.
My goal, and everybody's fully aware, I want this building down last December. And in fairness to the other contractor, I gave them until end of day today to get me a proposal. That way, the board's gonna get copies. You guys, both proposals, we'll review it and see, which one we're gonna go with. That way, we're not leaving you hanging out there for days, because the sooner we get this going, the better I think it is, just to get it down.
Correct. Who's the other one?
It's PKI.
Of course it is.
I was gonna say, you wanna guess?
So, but I gave them until end of day today, because there's no sense prolonging, waiting for 2 or 3 other individuals to step up. And I know you were kind enough to call me right away after the article came out. So I will have to let the board review this and let Ted review the
Sure.
proposals.
Any other questions, or welcome to call me?
Also, I don't think if this is going to happen, that we want to have to wait for another meeting, so
No.
we would want to do this.
It'll be decided this week. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
And Ron's gonna be working on this project with you.
I got a question. Even though he's making a donation, you're entering into a contract and you're having a variance with the fill. Does this have to be advertised?
This is private money, Mike, though. At this point, it's
Yeah, we're
private money.
redevelopment authority, I don't think we have to do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so your money is classed as private? Okay.
We have to get a permit from the state.
You probably need a permit.
Yeah, we would need a demolition permit.
Well, and you will have to be aware too, whoever does it, that we do have to approach that asbestos in the part of the building that collapsed already. There's about 40 feet of steam pipe in there that still has some wrapping on it they could not get to because of the collapse, so.
Well, we still have grant funds
we
for
still
that.
have grant
demo.
funds for that. But I wouldn't want to create a DEP violation by ignoring that and going right through that. I think all those people are aware of that requirement. And I'm sure Chris Casanaway would step up and do that at a reasonable cost. So I think we've talked to him before about that.
Might need another meeting to approve.
Can we go ahead
So I
and,
just want to-
pre-approve
How do you know if you get another offer?
based on, well, we can't do like an email.
I'd be fine calling a special meeting, I think.
I'm fine with
Very
that. I'm
important.
willing to work with you, however we need to, as long as you'll work with us.
That's all we can do, is work together. Again, you know, we're, at these prices, you can see that we're not in it to make a large quantity of money. We're in it to help the city of All City because we all need help right now. We're not doing much, and we're paying all our insurance, we're paying all our fees, and we're sitting over there doing small jobs instead of larger jobs.
Well, then you might as well be working.
Apart?
You might as well be working.
We might as well be working, even if we have to work
If you need a
less.
special meeting, you need 24 hours to advertise.
I have one other comment. Mrs. Hopwood and the mayor get to have the 2 first sledgehammer blows in the building.
Yay. Are they very heavy? No, it's not very heavy.
I don't care how heavy it is, I'll manage to
Well,
swing.
we don't use sledgehammers, you're welcome to crawl in the machine.
Now, they're one of those ones with a ball, we could swing
Yeah.
the ball.
I guess we could have a special meeting on Friday. Is that
Yeah, this is the closest we've come to this, so
Yeah.
we'll work with you.
advertised tomorrow?
I don't know if we can get in, I don't know if we can advertise that quickly.
I don't think we
They're-
have to.
they're-
I don't think they have to, Rick. I mean, if it's in the body of the story, that has worked before.
Well, the years that I've worked for the authority, the law is you have to have 24, within 24 hours you have to advertise for a
But
special
does it
meeting.
have to be a classified?
I believe so.
Ray?
Just a suggestion, instead of adjourning the meeting today, just take a recess and reconvene tomorrow, it's still the same meeting.
Can we do that? Oh, no, I mean, I'm not available tomorrow, I'm in here.
Or whenever,
Friday. Yeah.
whenever. You just-
Friday.
This is still the same meeting if you go into recess, and don't adjourn. So it would be the continuation of the meeting on Friday, then or Saturday, or whenever you want to do it. Just a suggestion.
My son's getting married.
Congratulations.
That's no excuse.
Oh, yeah.
Well, why can't we do it Friday?
We can do it Friday.
What
I'm
Just
fine
pick a
as
time.
long as we're good. I'll have to let you know what time though.
You just want to do
I have
it.
I have a 10 o'clock.
Usually you do announce now.
How about 1 o'clock?
Yeah, I can do one. I can do one.
You got a quorum, I'll do one.
What's your thought? Are you good with everyone?
That's February 8th.
Yeah, 1 o'clock, I have a 2 o'clock meeting. 1 o'clock will be fine on Friday. Judy will take the minutes. Right, Judy? Thank you.
Well, it should be a long meeting, or a long conclusion.
Yes, okay. We can meet here, 1 o'clock on Friday. Okay.
I also brought a certificate of insurance,
Oh, great.
that might be something if you're interested in.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from anybody? Ryan, did you want to say anything?
No, he covered it.
Ryan is Mr. Gar's son he works with.
No, Mr. Gar's the boss now.
That's right. I'm sorry, Ryan.
If you do that,
Mr.
can
Gar
I
works
have one
for
of
Ryan.
his wife with the excavator?
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
New business, speakers, you guys are up.
All right, you sit down. Sure, Ron.
Or Mr. Speaker.
Yes, we received, you know, a meeting to, or, excuse me, a letter to, attend the meeting, so at this point, I guess we're not, I guess sure what your questions are, but.
And this came about is, because I had spoken to Jan a while back and said, you know, what's your intent for the Mellon building? And I think at that time, you guys were going to market the property and try to sell it. I guess we're trying to find out, has that changed? Are you moving forward? You know, what's your plans for that building? Because as a redevelopment, we don't want it to go, the Brody block has gone, because we're also still facing the parking ramp. And my thoughts are, you know, we really need to kind of come together and do whatever we need to do on Seneca Street. You know, fix it up, tear it down. And as you guys are the owners of the old Mellon building, I guess we're asking, you know, what's the intent here?
Well, we've been actively marketing the building for, I think we've owned it about 10 years. And it's been for sale for probably at least 7 of those years.
Mm-hmm.
We've had several people interested. Well, the last party that was interested was disenchanted with the building, for lack of a better word, when the article appeared from the Redevelopment Authority that the building was on the blighted list and that the facade of the building was going to fall off. It was printed on the front page of the paper, and you know, he just decided he was backing away from it at that point. So at this point, I don't have a buyer. I get calls all the time, people inquiring about the building. It is for sale. It's for sale for a whole lot less than what I paid for it. The building, structurally, there isn't a thing wrong with the building anywhere. It does need a roof. We have 3 estimates on a roof now. In fact, I met with the roofing contractor yesterday. But unfortunately, there isn't going to be any roof put on until probably at least May. So one way or another, you know, in May, we'll be putting a roof on the building. Whether it's sold or not, we'll be putting a roof on the building. So in the 10+ years that we've owned it, our economic development organization, Rural Region Alliance, has never shown the building once to anyone. We've had almost no cooperation as far as trying to market the building. We're not real estate people. We bought the building because we felt it would be good for Oil City and that we could make money at it. Unfortunately, at that point, we both learned that it's better to do what you know and not try and reinvent yourself. So at this point, we'd love to get rid of it. We'd like to see things happening in Oil City. We'd like to see the city improve, but it's not just my building that's vacant. I get people refer to my building all the time. Well, I mean, there's a ton of buildings in Oil City that are boarded up that nobody seems to be concerned about, that everybody keeps pointing the building picture, you know, finger at my building. You're not doing anything. Well, I don't think we're doing anything with the old Arby's. I don't think we're doing anything with the old Isley's. I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't happening because economically, there's no one interested in coming to Oil City to start a business. Not just Oil City. I mean, it's just the climate of the world today that, you know, there just isn't, the money isn't there like it used to be. Oil City, you know, I can remember in the, you know, my childhood in the 60s, I mean, you couldn't find a place to park anywhere downtown. There wasn't enough sidewalk space to walk downtown. That's never going to happen again. It's just a sign of the times. So if you have some ideas on how to market the building, a couple of years ago, probably what, 4 years ago, we hired an architectural firm. We got architectural plans completed, approved to put housing in the building, apartments. That's all in place. But hey, for $1.5 million+ at my age, I'll tell you right up front, I'm not going to put that kind of money in. There's no return on it for me, and you know, it just doesn't make sense for me to put $1.5 million in the building. And if there's someone else that's younger than I am that's interested in the building, it's absolutely for sale. And I mean, other than the roof issue, most of the damage that was caused when the sprinkler system pipe broke is cosmetic stuff. There's a lot of peeled paint. There's, you know, because I haven't heated the building in the last couple of years, there's a lot of peeled paint, and there is some plaster, but most of the plaster in the exposed areas that the plaster came down from are all above suspended ceilings. So once those suspended ceilings would be replaced, there isn't an issue as far as it being structurally sound. Yesterday, when the roofing company was there, we discovered that the roof on above the fourth floor is 18 inches thick concrete. So, you know, and each of the floors are at least 12 inches thick all the way down through the building. So, Leo, you got to be happy you don't have to tear that down.
Yes, sounds like a headache.
Anyhow, we're definitely interested in doing whatever. I mean, we never intended for the building to be like it was, but when PennDOT acquired the Quaker State building, all of my tenants went there, you know. And I mean, we've had signs on the building, we've had people look at it. We made a proposal for the Social Security office when they went to Cranberry. We made a proposal when their lease was up on the state store. We've actually pursued, we dealt for a time with the owners of Springfield Grill, the Iron Bridge. We thought they were coming. I mean, we've tried marketing the building, and when developers look at it, they tell us that demographically the money just isn't there for the type of an investment that it would make. They'd have to invest in order to make it a profitable venture. So, I mean, I love the building too. I mean, that's, if anybody watched the program, Abandoned, I mean, basically, I met my wife, she worked at the building. So, I mean, that's why I bought the building in the first place, is because, I mean, that's where I met her. So,
Jan's fault.
but, you know, I mean, I don't want to see the building in any more disrepair, but at this point, does it make any sense to put a lot of money into the building if there's no tenant? I mean, if you people have some ideas, someone from the city has some ideas, somebody knows that somebody's looking for some space, I mean, absolutely, if there was a potential for a long-term lease, I'm talking, you know, 3 years or something like that, I mean, we'd be willing to step up and do whatever it takes in order to make that happen. But at this point, I'm not interested in putting $1 million in the building and just have to sit there, and then 20 years later, we'll be back here again talking about repairing the roof.
Right, so the roof is gonna get repaired, so I mean, that's a start.
One way or another, the roof will be repaired when the weather will allow.
Okay. Well, then, the other thought I have is Kathy from Main Street, who's behind you back there. Is that a potential, Kathy, for once we get the roof done, once we start looking at maybe how we can market? And I know Kathy's gonna have some loan fund, correct? That's going to be able to clean up the buildings or do what the building needs to get done. I mean, even if we take care of some of those cosmetic or, you know, structural, whatever it needs to get done on inside, I think we should be able to market something. And I guess this is where all of us needs to partner up with Kathy to say, okay, what can we do to market the building? It's a beautiful building. That's where I started my banking career. I worked on every floor but the first floor. And so, but it used to be a beautiful building. So if we could all get together and say, okay, the roof is gonna get repaired, so there won't be any more leakage, there won't be, you know, how are we gonna get, it could take another 6 months or a year to get that building up to standard. So what do you think, Kathy?
Well, I would, that building is definitely a candidate for the anchor building loan program that we've been discussing, that Main Street does have the opportunity to apply for. We do have potential to apply for an anchor building grant, which would be granted to the city or to Main Street, and then loaned back out to a developer. So whether that developer is the current owners or whether it's, you know, a different owner, we would need to show a plan for redevelopment. So you know, whatever the plans are, you know, probably some potential tenants in there too. But that program, that building would definitely qualify for.
And just to kind of let everybody know what Kathy's talking about, the loan program, she had asked three of us, did you say okay? Okay, yeah, three of us, because of our financial background and because of Dale's background, has asked us to sit on the loan committee review. I said, fine, would love to, because commercial loan is my background. To that, I have asked a former credit policy person who does the analysis, or who did do analysis for loans. So he's going to be a good fit for our committee of four. And how that's going to work is, if a customer or client comes and says, oh, I really want to borrow some money to do whatever with the building, we will help that individual complete the application, because it's going to be very similar to what Northwest Commission, their application is, which I used to do the application for them. Then we will review that so that we have good candidates to loan out the money at a very low interest rate. So that's going to start generating interest, and I have been promoting that program moving forward to say, start thinking about this. Yes, we've got lots of empty buildings, but here is an existing building that you don't have to build. Just kind of remodel it and fix it up, and you're good to go. So that's where we're at now. So, I mean, it's a good concept, and
We've actually met with Kathy a couple times.
Okay.
And we met with the Northwest Commission a couple times, and, you know, I think we've met with, sure, what's your name? So we have, you know, met in the past, but we've never gotten beyond.
well, this is where we all need to get together and say, okay, let's talk about this. What are we going to do? And of course, everybody knows I'm not shy about talking about things or asking for money. But, you know, get the conversation going. You know, and it'll be another, yeah, let's take care of that building. And I told Kathy, I would like to see that whole Seneca Street, you know, changed.
Oh, we all would.
So, you know, but it's just not moving fast enough. So, I mean, we'll keep that in mind, Ray, and then we'll continue to have a conversation. And you can contact Kathy on your progress. Any questions from anybody? Comments?
Okay, I talked to Emily today, and just to echo what you said, Emily Gill agrees, I think we all agree that we need more of a concerted effort in Oil City. We have a lot of disparate groups trying to do different things, and there isn't a set plan. There's no consensus of ideas of what we went done with Oil City, and I think that's what's lacking. So I agree with Kay, I agree with Ray, how much outbound marketing of Oil City has been done in the last 10 years. If it's being done, no one's sharing with us that it's being done. So I do agree that this year, this is a great development with the Brody block, because that's one thing we want to get done and out of the way. So if this comes together, that's a huge roadblock that's out of the way for us. So we do need to move together. We need to have some sort of meeting where all the interested groups in redevelopment of Oil City come together, and we have to form a consensus for what we want, and we all need to be moving, I think, in the same direction. Otherwise, we're just letting things naturally occur. You know, in today's economy, today's day and age, it doesn't work. We have to have some solid ideas and a plan, because we're competing with all these other communities in the Rust Belt that have the same problems we have. So I agree with Kay. I think it's good to have lines of communication open with you folks. And
Okay, I'd just like to add, you had originally called me and said that you had heard that we were interested in donating the building.
Yes.
And I have checked with our tax accountant, and a write-off for donating the building is something that we would entertain. So if you are serious about wanting to have it donated, you know, we could have a meeting and discuss the possibility of that happening as well.
And that's something I'm going to talk to the board. That's something that maybe after the roof is done?
Well.
Because you don't want to see our budget.
Okay.
And if I could say, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If I could just say something further. You know, you mentioned that there are other vacant buildings in town. You know, you're sitting there that nothing's happening to. I think, unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of a wait and see pattern. You know, folks waiting for something to happen somewhere with one of our buildings or more of them. Or we can't continue to wait. if there is, there needs to be a catalyst, and if the Brody block is a catalyst, that may start things happening. If something happening with Corn Planter Square, and I think, maybe the attention is on that building simply because it is so prominent, and it is such a beautiful building, and it's not, anything personal, but I think that's probably why a lot of the attention is there. But when things do start happening, we're going to see other building owners doing more with their own buildings, because some of them have specifically commented to me that they're reluctant to make any improvements until some of those issues are taken care of. So, I think we're on the right track if we can start moving on Brody now, or I'm sorry, on the Center Street block. We can start moving on that now, and especially yours too.
And I
Starts
think,
putting us on the right track.
and I don't know how many of you know that there is a group called Take Pride in Oil City. I think that, they've been trying by themselves, but I think this will spur them on more. And it's a business
That's what I'm saying,
group.
Kate, there's all kinds of groups in Oil City, but there isn't a consensus, and I think that's what's been lacking here for years. So if we can commit this year to pulling groups together and
We will. I will.
One of the quick thing, when I stood up, I had all intentions of saying, I think the first comment I should have made is congratulations, Leah. I mean, it's really great to see that someone has really finally stepped up to the plate and said, yeah, I want to make Oil City better. So, hey, I've known Leah all my life, so thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
Okay. Can we talk about the next week? See ya, thank you.
I have paperwork that we signed.
Would you like Mr. Shotgun or Pratt?
Sure.
Good job. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, is that your hat?
Yes, it is. That's my Harley hat. You bet. Go by now.
See you later.
Mr. Gar,
Yes.
do you have them all? My name is Mark Hahn.
Oh, from the radio station.
Yeah,
Hi, Mark.
except I'm with an internet radio station now up in Titusville, not the one here in
Oh.
Oil City. That's why I'm carrying a video camera.